Good morning, it's your boy Terrell. It's Monday morning, out on a quick walk before I get going for the day. Got to shave up, get to the city, take care of some business. But Monday, that means we're the day after Game of Thrones. This was season 7, episode 2. A lot of action. Hopefully, I can take this real quick before I get going. A lot went down last night. The deck got scrambled up. Let's just say. We thought. You look at the first episode, things were kind of falling into place. You can kind of sort of predict what would come, but as Game of Thrones always does, it scrambles the deck from episode to episode. We look at this episode, Jon's kind of chain of command, his kind of command structure was falling apart around him, and a lot of that was from the last episode where he should have put maybe that command structure up under him, where maybe he should have married one of the married to one of the northern houses to have more power, because as he's going to Dragonstone, things were going to get dicey and crazy. And Sansa, she brought up a lot of the history of kings of the north going to the south and the results not turning out, the way they should have. The grandfather being burned by the Targaryens, bringing back the family history. So, I don't know. Maybe she's manipulated things in a way where she's going to be in charge of the North, but, she's taking a kind of a myopic view of things where she's not looking at the threat from the White Walkers, and, he doesn't really have buy-in with this whole threat from the White Walkers, from the northern houses. They're kind of on board with the idea of, defense and building up the defense and, let's go fight, but I don't think they're really on board with the whole concept of it, because they haven't really seen Hardhome and the things that took place there. Daenerys, let's go over to her. She's clearly taken a setback. The Greyjoy fleet, which was her fleet, which was to deliver the troops to King's Landing to set siege, Euron, he outmaneuvered them, and now they're not able to hold a siege, over King's Landing. So now that impacts the second part of their plan, which was to, go to Casterly Rock and hit at the financial center of the Lannisters and kind of deliver them a PR loss. So now the Lannisters are going to be able to shift more troops over there. So the dynamics of the battle has changed, and we'll see going forward. The Lannisters are now sadly back in an upper hand, and now with the invention with Qyburn, the little arrow that shoots dragons, the dynamics on the battlefield have changed a lot. And but Jon, he has kind of a bargaining chip now, because now that they're not able to lay siege from the sea, they're going to come in through the King's Forest and, from the King's Road from the north. And maybe they can lay siege that way. Maybe he'll have to sell that angle to Daenerys, and maybe, having to square that with the north. That's going to be tough. But he has a tough argument to make about the White Walkers and in the long night. That seems so, kind of an abstract concept to their everyday lives, and that's a hard thing to argue. It's like arguing global warming at this point. I mean, global warming we all know exists, but that immediate threat. So that's going to be tough for Jon to really argue into. The episodes are going along. A lot of shakeups. Big scene at the end where Theon literally jumped ship. He literally jumped ship when his sister, had the knife to her neck from Euron. And a lot of that was he was, flashing back to the torture he went through with Ramsay. You saw him really going back into the Reek role. So he hadn't really come out of that post-traumatic stress of what he went through, with the torture with Ramsay. And I compared that to slavery. I mean, you look at a lot of people still suffer from that today, when they won't fight for their own lives if they were confronted. So it's deep. He's put through a lot, and the jumping ship part, wow, I don't see how they bring his character back, because when he, turned on Robb earlier in the Game of Thrones seasons, they took 3 seasons to rehabilitate his character. So I think they pretty much killed him off. And speaking of killing off a character, Grey Worm, when he had the romantic scene with Sandre, I think they're kind of giving you a prelude to him being killed off, because, Grey Worm saying that key thing about you're my weakness, and that, it sounded romantic on film, but as a soldier, he can't afford to think like that. Can't afford to really build those connections with people, because, he's to go off to, fight and his thing is one foot in front of the other and battling, for his brothers alongside him. So I think they're kind of, softening up the audience, getting the audience ready for his, eventual murder. So Game of Thrones is moving along. I think in the next 3 episodes or so, we're going to probably see a lot of casualties, a lot of losses, because they have to kind of whittle these characters down as we get toward season 8 in the Battle for the Dawn. But the activity is about to pick up. I mean, it's going to be some bloodshed probably the next 3 episodes. They got to really ramp it up. It's going to be crazy. Crazy episode. Oh, yeah. Extra thing about the Game of Thrones. One of the actors, John Boyega, the black actor from the latest Star Wars installment, they were talking about diversity, inclusion. I think, people are going overboard. He raised the idea there's not enough black characters on Game of Thrones. I think we go overboard with, I guess black characters in Game of Thrones because it's set in the medieval days, and it's probably gonna be more white characters in that particular type of show. So I think the argument that he was making about there should be more black characters in Game of Thrones is kind of weak. And I think maybe he should have had a stronger role in Star Wars before he made the argument about black characters in Game of Thrones, because he kind of they kind of made his particular character weak in Star Wars, the black character John Boyega, who basically ran around and got punked out the whole movie. So I don't know. I love the idea of inclusion, but you have to be included in a way that it matters and makes a difference in what you're being included in. So kind of an argument that's going to kind of fall on deaf ears, but it's interesting. Game of Thrones, cultural pop icon, good stuff. Sunday, it should be crazy. They'll probably scramble the deck again. Have a good one.